So let's take an in-depth look at how Faker lanes on Zed versus LeBlanc. Early levels, you're going to see him trying to stay outside of LeBlanc's W range while landing Qs for a little bit of harass onto her. As soon as the minions meet in the middle of the lane, he goes for a shuriken onto her. Unfortunately, she dodges it, but it's the right idea from him. Every time his shuriken is up and she's looking to auto attack minions to push in the wave, he should be looking for shurikens. Alright, so LeBlanc uses her W there to secure some CS, which means that he can freely walk up here and actually auto attack minions to last hit, and then use the Q there to secure the ranged minion that's too far for him to actually auto attack. Her W is still down, so he walks up and autos, and now her W should be back up soon, so he's backing off again. It's really important to be thinking about cooldowns, especially in the early game. Cooldowns are really long level 1, so LeBlanc's W is probably like a 15-second cooldown level 1. So if she uses that W, that gives you a lot of free time to actually do what you want in the lane, to either look for poke or to just secure some CS. So now that her W is up, he's just going to farm with his shuriken. So you can see here he hits these 2 ranged minions with his shuriken. Alright, he misses the one, but he's going for the last hits with the shuriken and just trying to stay out of W range. So this red minion's starting to get low, and he walks up to shuriken, but he stays towards the bottom side of the lane, which allows him to actually dodge the LeBlanc W because she was too far away. And then he's able to level up his W, switch over, and get an auto attack in, which takes out a little bit of her HP and procs Taste of Blood, which is really good for him. But most importantly, he stayed outside of her W range once she hit level 2, because LeBlanc's level 2 combo is really strong. All she has to do is walk up, Q, W, auto attack, and she procs a lot of damage with her abilities and also gets an electrocute proc off. So he avoided that level 2 chunk LeBlanc's almost always go for. Again, using the Q to CS minions and also looking to harass the LeBlanc at the same time. If you can accomplish both things at once, you should always try and do that. So whenever you're trying to last hit minions with abilities, if you can hit the enemy champ with them, go for it. And then here his Elise comes for a gank, so he's able to use his shadow aggressively and go for the WQ combo. Hits his shurikens, just chunks a little bit of HP out of the LeBlanc, and then the Elise comes in to force her out of lane. This gives time for Faker to actually prune the wave a little bit. He starts killing off some of the red minions, and the reason he wants to do this is because he wants the red minion wave to actually push into him, but he doesn't want it to push too hard, because if this red wave gets too big, then it's going to hit his tower and it'll all die to tower, and then the waves will reset to the middle. So what he's trying to do is make sure the red wave is a little bit bigger than his, like 2 or 3 more minions than his, until it pushes right around here. And then he wants to try and keep the minion waves right in between these 2 walls, which allows him to safely use his shadow to harass LeBlanc without being at risk of getting ganked. Here he gets a little bit too close and LeBlanc is able to actually W forward and hit him, but he does a good job of dodging the chain. So since the chain doesn't connect, LeBlanc misses a lot of her damage, and it's not that bad for him. Every time Faker shadows up, you can see him looking for aggressive trades, especially since he's in this like sweet spot between the 2 walls that I was talking about earlier, where he doesn't have to be afraid of getting ganked by Evelynn. So he doesn't have to keep this escape tool up at all times, so he can use it aggressively. Whereas if the minion wave was up here or somewhere in the middle, he might have to just hold his W in case he got ganked, and then he would use it as an escape. Here you can see Blanc doesn't have her W up right now because she just used it a little bit ago, and so he's actually walking up to auto attack some of the minions to try and thin out the wave some more. But unfortunately the red wave has gotten a little too big. There's not a lot he can do about it at this point, so it's going to crash into tower. The nice thing is you can see his minions actually get caught up on this last red minion. I don't think he did it intentionally, but if he did, it was a really smart idea. Because his minions get stalled on this last red minion, it means that the next red wave that's incoming is actually going to push farther in, and it'll be a little bit closer on his side of the lane. It's not between the 2 walls exactly, but it's also not all the way out in the middle. So this means that he's actually able to use his shadow a little bit aggressively here. When the LeBlanc walks up, he throws the shadow out. He uses the E and the Q, lands both Qs plus an auto attack, procs the electrocute, and chunks her out pretty hard. You can see every time his shurikens are up, he's looking for poke. So he just threw out like 3 shurikens in 20 seconds because he's just constantly looking for that harass. Especially now that the LeBlanc's low and I think she's out of corrupting pot charges. So she has no more health regen. He knows any harass he lands is going to stick to her. A perfect WEQ combo, this is what you should be looking for all the time on Zed. So right here, everything's up for FAKER and she's in W range. So he walks up, he throws the W out, E's afterward to get the slow on her, and then he Q's immediately after. Because the LeBlanc's slowed, she's not able to dodge the shurikens, and he gets a huge chunk of damage on her and procs his electrocute again. Now you can see him letting the red minions push in. He's not trying to clear these because, like I said earlier, he wants it right around in this part of the lane. So this is perfect for him. And you can tell the LeBlanc's scared to push up, got more pressure in this lane now, and he kind of sets the tempo. So she can't recall as long as he's got it frozen on his part of the lane because she'll lose a lot of XP, and she can't shove it in because he will be able to kill her. Like if she uses her W aggressively, then he's just going to go all in on her and kill her. And so now he's actually, you can see him kind of waiting for her to get in range. And he's trying to land a full combo and all in her. When your opponent's around this HP and you're Zed, you should always be looking for a kill, especially if you have Ignite up. If you land your WEQ combo plus Ignite, they should instantly die. And you also, your passive gives you an auto attack, which does execute damage. So definitely within the kill threshold. So you see him here, he actually goes for it. Unfortunately, doesn't quite secure it because the LeBlanc flashes away from the shuriken, but he does get the flash out and she has to recall. Here you can see FAKER actually sticks around. You might think that after shoving the wave in, he would want to recall immediately, but he actually has Demolish, which allows him to chunk a large portion of the turret's health off pretty easily. And he's got a pretty decent sized wave, so he knows the minions will do a lot of damage to the tower as well. And also he's probably looking at the gold he has right now and realizing if he recalls, he has enough for Hex Drinker, but if he buys Hex Drinker, he won't get any health potions. So what he does is he goes and he gets this first plate. He gets 160 gold, and that allows him to recall and come back to lane with a Hex Drinker plus a refillable potion, which is a much better buy because if you come back to lane with just the Hex Drinker, if you take any poke at all, then you're not going to be able to regen it. And if you instead don't go for the full Hex Drinker and buy like a longsword plus a null magic mantle and maybe a refillable potion, you'll be losing a lot of power. Actually, that Hex Drinker power spike is really huge. So again, you should always be looking for this combo whenever all of your abilities are up, because it's really important to have the W, the E, and Q, because you throw the shadow out, you throw your W out, and then you use your E to slow them, and it also counts as one spell towards your electrocute. And then you throw the Q out with the slow from the E. It should be pretty easy to land both Qs, and then you'll proc your electrocute. So whenever you have your shadow up, you should try and save your EQ for a full combo. And right here, this is perfect. This is perfect for FAKER, right where he wants the wave again. You can see he's only last hitting because he doesn't want the wave to move at all. Now he sees his junglers invading. He knows LeBlanc's going to try and rotate, so he shoves the wave out pretty quickly so he can try and help his jungler, but the jungler dies really fast. So instead of just sitting around in lane here, there's not much he can do here, and he would be overextending if he were up here trying to harass the LeBlanc. So instead of just overextending, he goes into the river, clears out the control ward, then a fight breaks out bot lane. So he actually goes, cleans up the kill on the Galio using his flash and ulti. So here, after level 6, Zed actually is pretty strong in this lane. Anytime the LeBlanc dashes forward, you should be looking to all in her. Ideally, the LeBlanc shouldn't do it if her jungler's not around, because you typically win if she all ins and there's no jungler. So you'll see here, she goes in for a W, there's no jungler there. I think she was trying to dodge Zed's combo by going in, but it all lands, and so she gets chunked out to half HP, and she now doesn't have her W to run away if he ults her. So he ults her, follows her back to where she started from, and since she's used other spells after her W, she can't mimic that W again. So she has no mobility left in her kit, which means it's really easy for FAKER to ult on top of her and then land all of his abilities, which is just a death sentence for her. FAKER has a pretty big lead now, and I think the LeBlanc just concedes lane. He's trying to figure out how to influence the map right now. Unfortunately, the Fiora is 5-1 top lane. It's going to be really hard for him to help that lane now. She could probably 1v2 him and Tryndamere. So he's looking to make plays around the bot side. Finds Evelynn doing the dragon, but she's able to finish it and actually ulti out. But he just wants to keep hopefully making plays on the bot lane and get his bot lane rolling, and maybe they can win that way. Unfortunately, the Karma dies in a 2v2 and the Elise gets caught out around Dragon Pit, so his team's kind of misplaying right now. So here he actually sees the Kai'Sa's pretty far up. He's able to W and ulti, and then with the Q flash auto attack, he makes it so the death mark pops and kills her. LeBlanc overextending there, I guess, and gets collapsed on by Karma and Elise. So he picks up a free assist on that and then shoves mid. The Fiora roams down mid lane, which is really bad for him because he can't do much against her. His W cooldown is fairly long, and if he tries to poke her, she's just going to heal it back up on the wave with her Tiamat. You see he pokes her and he chunks her a little bit, and she's just healing it all back up. So there's not much he can do here. He doesn't have W up as well, so he probably should back off. Maybe he doesn't realize how strong she is, but she just 2-shots him under tower. And I think that's where his team starts to give up. The Fiora's 6-1. His bot lane's not strong enough to make a difference in this game. I said it's really hard for the ZED to actually try and kill LeBlanc after level 6 once they both have ultimates, because she's pretty mobile with her W and then she can mimic her W. But here, this is something you can do as ZED if you're really trying to get a solo kill. Wait until LeBlanc uses her W, and so now she has no mobility. So he W's onto her, ultis her. Unfortunately, all of his Qs miss. He's not able to get the kill, and then the Evelynn shows up and he runs into the support Galio. It was a desperation play and it was the right idea. He knew LeBlanc didn't have W, and so he knew he might could get the kill there, but the skill shots just didn't land. So here the Fiora's just running at their team in the jungle, and there's not much they can do about it. The thing is with Fiora, you need a lot of hard CC on your team to lock her down, and they don't have that on their team. They don't have any tanks, so she just shreds FAKER's team. She's just too strong at this point. So I think, yep, that's where they surrender. But even though they lost, I think FAKER did a really good job in his lane. You can't win them all. In a more even game, he would have had a decent lead and probably would have been able to go into the side lane, start split pushing, could have forced the LeBlanc under tower, and then looked to rotate for like 5v4 fights. Or he could have tried to 1v1 her. She seemed to be misplaying a lot this game. So if they were in the side lane and she W forward to clear the wave, then he could look to go on her and solo kill her and then keep creating pressure. Unfortunately, wasn't able to do it this game just because of the Fiora lead. But yeah, thanks for watching.